Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Omnipotents School podcast, I guess. So, we're going to be talking about character abilities. This is actually going to be the third time I recorded this episode, but oh well. So, starting off, we have Mr. T, of course, the main character of Omnipotents, Mr. Taste Powers. So his ability is he can literally have any power that's ever exist. He can have any power, and he can, he's overpowered. But there are limitations. To get a power he wants, he doesn't just come with every power. He wasn't just born with every power. He has to get a power, he has to be around that thing. Like, imagine he wants to shoot fire out of his hands. He has to get next to like a big flame or something, and he has to absorb kind of like the essence of the flame. I don't know, it's hard to explain, but yeah, like if he wants super strength or something, he can go over to like strong dude and absorb his essence, and then he gets that ability. And the reason he's called Mr. Taste Powers is because when he absorbs that ability, it kind of triggers his taste buds, which causes, him to taste kind of what he's absorbing. So that's Mr. Taste Powers. Now, moving on to Crosswing. Now, Crosswing, he can stab and fly. He's got strong metal wings, so he can obviously fly with his wings. His wings are made out of a pretty strong and sharp metal, and his wings actually come with spikes on them, and he can take off the spikes and use them as like knives. As you saw in the season 1 finale, Crosswing also has superhuman strength and superhuman durability. Basically, what that means is if he wanted to, he could just literally picks a full-grown man, like fully just over his head. He could pick up a full-grown man over his head and just throw him a few feet. So he's pretty strong, and he can actually, same goes with durability. He's pretty durable. The reason he's so durable is because of his wings. He can fly with his wings, but if you fly, then you have to land back down. So, if he's like flying a few hundred feet in the sky and he just lands back down, obviously his bones would break. That's why he's super durable. So his bones don't break when he lands down on impact. And also, he's a pretty skilled combatant. He can throw hands, he can get in a fight. And he won't lose the fight because he's skilled. He's pretty intelligent, I would say. Just average, intelligence. Now moving on, strong dude is strong. It's in his name. He's a strong dude. So in his best forms, basically in his base form, he's pretty strong. He's like stronger than Crosswing. He's very muscular. In his second form, which is, I believe, the tall bearded form with hair, that's in the season 1 finale as well. That's the second form. He gets stronger which with each form. So that's like his Giga Chad form, I guess. He's a lot stronger than his base form. Then his third form is the like giant Hulk-sized strong dude, but without the hair and beard. That's the third form. He's really, really strong there. And then his final form is like super Giga Chad form. It's his giant Hulk form and his bearded hair form combined. So in that form, he's really, really strong. And in his base form, he can probably throw like a, I don't even know, like a tennis ball, like, I don't know, like a few miles. And then in his Ultra Giga Chad form, he could probably, in his final form, he could probably throw a tennis ball like all the way to in orbit, like in low Earth orbit, maybe even more. But yeah, that's strong, dude. He's really strong. His intelligence is also average. He's basically just Hulk, but without the mindless rage. Powered one. Powered one has lots of energy. So powered one is his intelligence is below average. He's pretty dumb. Um, so powered one, his energy comes from Golden God, which we'll get to in a couple minutes. Golden God basically has Golden God has really powerful energy. So if Powered One gets his energy from Golden God, then Golden God or Powered One would be really powerful. So Powered One gets his energy from Golden God, and Powered One can shoot blasts. He can like wipe out a whole forest, as seen in the finale, season 1 finale. He can use his blasts to like shoot himself upwards and sort of fly, kind of like fake flying. Um. So yeah, and Powered One also can lift some heavy stuff with his energy. So a normal human obviously couldn't lift a car by themselves, but with Powered One's energy, even though he's skinny, he could probably lift a car because the Golden God energy is kind of making him stronger. Same goes with speed. He can voice crack. He can kind of run faster, I guess, with the energy. Now moving on to Quickster. Hope I didn't miss anything with the Powered One. I don't really have a script, but Quickster, he's basically Quicksilver. Quickster, he can run at supersonic speeds. Obviously, as seen in the finale, once again, he can run really fast to the point where everything around him is like basically stopped in time. So all the side powers, all the side abilities that come with super speed as well, like making tornadoes and stuff. But super speed, he can run on walls and run on water, and also normal people obviously can't run on water because it's way less dense than solid objects. Yeah, because water is in its liquid form, right? And then gas, which is air is in the gas form, which is way less dense than water. So normal people couldn't run on water, let alone run on air, but Quickster can run on water and air. So when he's running, he moves so fast that he can practically stop gravity, I guess, from taking effect. And he can run so fast he can literally run on air molecules. I don't even know how that makes sense, but he can do that. So as seen in the finale, so he can basically run on air. He can run super fast. And also, here's a little leak for season 2. Quickster voice crack can actually use, when he runs, he generates electricity, and he can use that electricity like to shoot people. Like as he can throw the electricity. Well, he can't throw it, it's not a physical object, but he can like use the electricity on people. Now moving on to Core. Core loves music, and his power revolves around music. So he can control sound waves to an extent. Obviously he can't just blow up the earth because there's a bunch of sound waves on earth. He can't do that, but he can, he has sound ability, so he can control sound waves. Maybe like obliterate someone's insides. I don't know, like make things really loud and stuff. But he hasn't really done that because it's probably require a bunch of training. So here's another leak for season 2. He actually has these music balls, these yellow music orbs that he can throw, and his sound waves are kind of in those orbs. So basically, he uses those orbs to control his sound waves, like even more than he already could. So he uses those orbs. He can throw them at people. He can like, when he throws them and the sound comes blasting out. So he can like deafen people and stuff. His intelligence is average, I guess. Same with Quickster. And Mr. T. Average intelligence. Not really any strength or speed. Just yeah. Now, moving on to technology. Techno is his intelligence is above average, high intelligence. Okay, well, not high intelligence in every field. His intelligence is only like book smarts. I guess he's not really a combat intelligence. He's intelligent in engineering and coding and stuff like that. So he can create suits of armor, to make him stronger. So with his armor, he can probably lift like a car. And he can also use his thrusters to fly around, and he can use, I guess, beams and stuff, blasts from his hands. He's basically just Iron Man, but just Italian. I don't know. I don't even know if he's Italian. Oh well. Yeah, so he's also a bit of a cyborg because some of his limbs are just full on prosthetic. So yeah, he can do that. He can make suits and stuff. And yeah, that's about it for Techno. Now, Sakura is a new character coming in season 2. Sakura. So, you actually, if you watch the trailer, you saw her in the trailer. She's the pink person. She's basically like she's skilled in combat. She doesn't really have any abilities except for like, as strong as Crosswing, as fast as Crosswing, stuff like that. Average intelligence. She's like a warrior. She has like a sword and stuff, armor. And honestly, that's about it for Score. She doesn't really have any abilities. She's just, fights people. Sunray. He can absorb light and use that light to shoot people. He can create like light beams, light blasts, like maybe blind people. But his light is actually sort of energy, so we can use that. So that was Sunray, who was actually part of a team called the Elementals. And now, some of these characters are new, introduced to season 2, but like 2 aren't. So we're gonna speedrun through these since all their powers are practically the same. Magma Master, he can absorb fire and shoot that fire, get more powerful with absorbing the fire. He can create like fire blasts. Wind Warlock, which is new, he can manipulate air and like use air blasts, I guess. Winter Warrior is new. He can, use ice. He can, form and manipulate ice. Thundermaster, which is not new. He can absorb electricity and like shoot lightning and stuff. He can control lightning. And also new Sandy Sage. He can manipulate sand. So with this team called the Elementals, one thing they all have in common is they get their powers from crystals. Now that's a leak for season 2 right there. Diver! You saw him in the finale, of course. Season 1 finale. Diver is kind of like Crosswing. He's good in combat, and he doesn't really have any abilities except for you know, knives. He uses knives really well, actually. He has a throwing accuracy. That's basically his ability, I guess, just training. It's not really an ability, but, he has, like, super good training, so he's insanely accurate with, like, anything he uses. So he uses knives, I guess. He can throw knives and stuff, extremely accurate. Now, moving on to some villains. We have Mad Max. Now, Mad Max doesn't have any abilities, but he is a genius, like techno, in engineering and coding and stuff like that. So he can create like giant mechs and stuff. Oh, he's also kind of cuckoo in the head. Like, he's kind of crazy. Is cuckoo the right word? What am I saying? Yeah, he's kind of like crazy in the head. That's about it for Mad Max. Now, Kingpin. Kingpin is kind of interesting. Kingpin comes from another planet, and he is actually the herald of a golden god. So, Kingpin is infused with golden god energy, so he's kind of like Powered One, but except he's actually smart in combat and just not engineering and stuff, but he's smart in like, like certain situations. So Kingpin has a staff, I guess. He can just use the staff as a weapon, and also he has a crown because he's the herald of Golden God, and he can. I'm pretty sure he can use. Okay, actually, Kingpin has laser eyes. He has heat vision, and this heat vision is made of golden god energy, so he can really shoot golden god energy out of his eyeballs if they existed. But he can do that, so yeah. Also, he's actually really strong and really durable, like almost probably as strong dude's base form. So yeah, something to yeah. Golden God is really powerful. Basically a god. So, he has golden god energy, because he is a golden god. Notice I said a golden god. But yeah, golden god, he's just, yeah, he's extremely powerful. He can't like create stuff out of thin air, but, he can't like, like, he can't. Well, can he? I'm just wondering if he has telekinesis or not. I don't know, but yeah. He's just really powerful. Also, he's like bigger than the Earth, so yeah. Okay, now Mr. Evilman. So, Mr. Evilman is the rival to Mr. Taste Powers. So, Mr. Evilman can basically has the same powers as Mr. Taste Powers. He can absorb abilities. So Mr. Evilman has a lot of abilities as well. Mr. Evilman actually has different forms, like Strong Dude, as stated in the finale. So Mr. Evilman can grow horns, a tail, and wings. So he basically looks like, the devil. But yeah, he has different forms. With each form, he gets stronger, and with his final form, with the wings, he's basically like unstoppable. So yeah, that's about it for Mr. Evilman. His intelligence average, everything, average. Yeah, that's really just it for Mr. Evilman. Morphos. You might not know who Morphos is. He's actually the shape-shifting guy from, I don't even remember which episode it was. He was in season 1, and he shape-shifted into people. And he also actually didn't have a voice. But yeah, Morphos, he can use these, like, I guess, his power is to shapeshift. So if he like, he could absorb someone's DNA, I guess, and turn into them. He can also shapeshift clothes as well, which is kind of weird, but oh well. Yeah, he can shapeshift, and he actually stores these shapeshifting, I guess, people. Like, imagine he turns into Mr. T. He can store Mr. T in an orb, and he can use that orb and turn into Mr. T later on without Mr. T actually being in his presence. So he can use those orbs and store like the people in his orbs. It's not like a Pokeball. He can't like suck in Mr. T and get him in his orb. But he's just, he can absorb their DNA and put it in the orb so he can turn into the people with the orb. But yeah, that's Morphos. Shadow Knight is a new character in Season 2. He's the villain of Season 2. And Shadow Knight basically has the ability to control shadows. So, actually, a big power that he uses in Season 2 is creating shadow tendrils out of shadows and shadow trees as well. So he can basically create like these tendrils out of shadows. And he can also create like trees out of shadows and stuff. He can create like life out of shadows, which is cool. And his power actually comes from a certain energy source. So the power isn't like necessarily inside of him. Like he got his power from an external source, if that makes sense. So he kind of found this orb, and then that orb gave him his powers. So yeah, also a leak. The shadows actually can corrupt his mind. You'll see that in the Season 2 finale. And now that's everyone, but in, just an honorable mention, here's a guy named Guy. So he's kind of like, he looks like Powered One, except he's orange. His name is Guy, and he can kind of contort into certain shapes. So he's like extremely flexible, and he can kind of like, he can't shapeshift. It's kind of another version of shapeshifting, but he can contort into like, it's hard to explain, but if you saw the animated Omni videos, then you know that he can contort his body in different ways, but he can't actually shapeshift, like turn his body different colors. Well, can he? Is he like a chameleon? I don't know, but he can contort his body in different ways to like mimic other people, I guess. Yeah, kind of a useless power, but also his intelligence is dumb. So yeah, and I think that's everyone important, I guess. If I'm missing someone, let me know, but I think that's everyone. So those are everyone's abilities and omnipotence, and next episode is actually the characters' backstories, and that will release when Season 2 comes out, because Season 2 actually tells us about, their backstories and stuff. So I'll release the episode about their backstories once Season 2 comes out. So yeah, that was the character abilities and stuff, and yeah, toodalooties, I guess.